All right, MA Marignon, turn 44. Dread level is relatively high as I march my army back and forth between provinces without enough supplies. And yeah, it looks like we have some battles. Okay, most of these are raids. Our raids, that's good. Right. Oh, dang. I thought I changed the leader on this. Weren't we going to send this paladin home? He needs a Moonblade. Anyway, there's no province defense here, but I may have made a mistake. I'm trying to update a turn, I think, to replace that commander. Clearly didn't happen, so I either dreamed it or, yeah, no province defense either. Bandar doesn't really seem like they like to leave a lot of province defense anywhere, or rather the Bandar player. And then we are attacked in Troll Woods. So let's see if this is a thug or, nope, he sent his army out. So, okay, I'm not 100% sure where this is. We have no PD, just a... Oh, okay, no, he did go to his fort. So, yeah, he came home. He's looking for an engagement. That makes sense, I think. But we skipped out, right, and went back to another place where we don't have enough supplies. So, yeah, this isn't great. Probably, actually, we would be better off just sitting in that Well of Pestilence province. We would be getting less diseases there. But we have at least forced Bandar into motion. That has some value. So let's take a look at the rest of the turn. Let's see. Oh, wow. This is a very nice... I did see this Well of Pestilence, so this was somewhat targeted, but didn't know about the overgrown graveyard, so that is a very nice result. This is a more standard result. And then we also took control of a province that had no province defense whatsoever. I think this was also in Bandar's territory. And then unexpected events. I'm sure these will be good. Hey, we got an adventurer. That's nice. Yeah, this is Mountain King province that we sadly have not been able to take advantage of. I think we need to build a lab there. I'll have to go look it up. But of course, until we handle this Bandar situation, building infrastructure on our border is not the best idea, I feel. And then let's see. Yeah, this is a little more normal. That's fine. Losing some defense, bad tax harvest. Yeah, Hey, these are some ill omens I can get behind because we found 16 death gems. That is a ton of death gems. So that is a very nice event and unusual for our misfortune scales. Right. And then this is the Tianchi fort that we've bitten off, but may not be able to digest. So let's see if there's anything else. No, not really. So yeah, I'll catch you guys after the jump. All right. This is the situation and what we're probably doing about it. Yeah, this has been a difficult turn. We're mostly running away. That much is definite. And then this whole expedition, has been a mistake. And we could still trade out. And that's actually what I'd originally planned to do, kind of rescripted this army a little bit. And we have a province defense dump here. And while I don't think we would win against this, right? We're decently outnumbered, 380 units. And what do we have here? Yeah, 262 units, right? And we're going to be getting hit a lot by Blood Vengeance. And the Soul Slays, I think, actually are not going to be a massive factor. They're going to be annoying, but not the end of the world. But I think it's probably just too much HP. I mean, we'll have about 50 more units in province defense, so it's not quite as unbalanced as the numbers first look. But a lot of his units have more hit points than our units, so, they might be able to take a crossbow shot, but our guys definitely can't take the Blood Vengeance. So while I don't think it's likely we'd win, again, the scenario was okay, well, let's just exchange, right? I'm talking of we can just gateway in more stuff and, we can build up troops really quickly. Although sadly, this fort here is kind of messing up our resource situation. I'm tempted to pull it down. Although, I don't know, pulling down free infrastructure, especially on the border, it just feels wrong, but it's a really poorly positioned free fort. Anyway, that's all fine. Other than the fact that I think we probably need this secondary army to deal with this Tianchi situation. He could come out at any point. I'm not really getting the sense that he will, right? He's just happy to sit in the fort and make it as disgusting as possible for whoever does come in. But it's not impossible, right, that he gets bored and decides, you know what, let's just go walk at Marignon's capital and see what happens. And I mean, yeah, we could stop whatever's in there, but it could get a little painful. So our reinforcements are a little tied up, which is problematic. And we could absolutely just give up this fort, right, and talk to Shiniyama and be yeah, we overextended. Sorry about that. Here you go. Maybe send him few gems. So, I mean, that's a potential problem, though not an insurmountable one, but we want to have our cake and eat it as well. But really the biggest issue, right, and the reason that I'm pulling most of our stuff out is in this army, right, he pulled back both of his thugs, who we are very, very familiar with. And while I'd be totally fine exchanging, my army for a good chunk, or hopefully most of his army, he could just send his 2 thugs in, and I think we lose to that. I'm not 100% sure, right? But I mean, it's like, well, what's in here, right? We've seen his thugs kill a bunch of crossbowmen. We've seen his thugs kill a bunch of knights. We've seen his thugs not get soul slayed, right? Like, this guy doesn't really have much in the way of penetration gear, and he's the only one that has any penetration gear. The province defense that's here normally is pretty good against thugs. They have high strength, but it's not high enough to deal like with those thugs. And, just having our army get destroyed in exchange for nothing, that's not a trade that I'm willing to make. So I think I'm going to split the difference and throw away a bunch of expensive mages, which, like I said, this is probably what we're going to do. So I'm going to move like a few of our mages out, pretty much all the troops, except for the barbarians. So we're going to have some barbarians in the province defense, and, they're mostly just there to provide like soul slay targets and, just keep his troops off of our mages for a little while, right? And then we're just going to summon like a bunch of fire elementals. And this is in the hopes that, he moves his entire army in. I mean, obviously he's mobilized not all of his mage corps, right? There's still quite a few mages here, but less than before. And I mean, like, what, how many mages does he have? Yeah, I mean, he's got like over 50, maybe like 60 mages here. So he's mobilized a ton of mage power. Like, clearly this is a doom stack. And I'm hoping that, he's feeling fairly confident and, moves out with everything. And of course, the risk is, again, the thugs. And if he moves out, with just his thugs, then we're kind of just going to lose a bunch of mages for free. But like, I really don't want to lose this province defense for free. I don't know. I'm kind of talking myself out of this now. We'll see. I'm gonna stick with it for now, but it could change next turn. I really do think he'll move out, right? I mean, like, what else could he possibly be waiting for? Although there's a part of me that, he just goes back to researching and whatever. Anyway, if he does move out, the fire elementals should kill, quite a few of his summons. They can't be soul slayed because they're mindless. And they should have at least better magic resistance than our regular troops. And our mages will be fairly difficult. They'll be more difficult to soul slay than our troops. They still actually don't have like amazing magic resistance. Like the Grandmasters have 17. That's pretty decent. The Witch Hunters have 15. It's a little lower because he took magic scales, right? And this is his scales in here, even though our Dominion just got in. So anyway, the fire elementals should trade out fairly effectively, and it'll also burn a lot of his gems, hopefully. And this army is carrying a decent amount of gems, and he probably doesn't have a ton of gems, so gem versus gem burn, I think we come out ahead there. So we'll see. Could be a waste of a bunch of expensive mages. Otherwise, like, we're going to raid. We're going in, even though this is incredibly, exceptionally powerful. There's so much, I don't even remember how much province defense here, but we're going to see, we have a paladin leading this group, right? So we don't have to worry about the commander getting sniped. It's only 6 paladins, 6 knights of the Holy Chalice. So yeah, it's basically, can the knights defeat unlimited monkeys? They might actually fatigue out. I don't know. They don't have a lot of other places to go. I knew this was a pretty dangerous raid. I mean, the other thing we could do... No, we can't, actually, because there's a river. So, we're going for it. We could also run into his army. Very risky. This raid is also pretty risky, right? But, I mean, he can't move everywhere. So, and we can afford to lose, this level of units. So, okay, but, what's the plan, right? We're just going to leave Bandar here forever? Absolutely not. So, we talked about, the really long-term plan, Evocation 7, but we wouldn't have to wait crazy long, but I don't even want to wait that long. But we are going to get Conjuration 6 next turn, which will give us our air summons. Those are going to make our crossbowmen more accurate, which will be nice. An air shield is also just sort of a nice thing to reduce friendly fire, but the main thing is that they're going to be able to, summon in a few air elementals, which isn't going to be a huge deal, but any flyers we can get early in the battle to harass his mage line will help a lot in terms of the soul slays, as well as just distracting his units. But most importantly, right, it's the lightning. So if we do get into a situation where, we have our armies facing off, but he has his thugs in there, and it's a concern of like, oh, well, what if he just moves his thugs in? Well, we'll have our summons that have air magic that can hit him with lightning. They have lightning weakness. That's actually a way that like we could kill them. So it just prevents our army from getting, just bounced from some thugs, right? So that's going to be one important element. The other thing, right, related to that is we're going to have like three of these paladins that, we've kitted out. So that's also going to help, prevent that same situation we were talking about. We're actually able to do a 2-province move for once with the troops of this group. So we're actually going to have, even without like gatewaying in some stuff, we're going to have a pretty significant increase in our troop numbers, right? So we're going to have all these troops. We're going to have even more crossbowmen. We can, bring in some more crossbowmen here. We'll probably strip all of these knights. We'll bring in like all the units from Arcocephaly. So we're just going to be able to bring in a lot more units, which is going to help a lot because it's going to be kind of a nasty, grindy fight. We're going to take some casualties, although especially with the Soul Slaying, like the faster we can collapse his army, the fewer casualties we're going to take. And the final piece that we'll be able to bring to bear, and I don't really know why, it just didn't hit me earlier. I was so focused on dropping rocks on Anakites. This sort of army, right, of this size is actually like perfect to drop rocks on, other than the Blood Vengeance, right? That's going to be a major problem. But the mages that we have that can drop rocks already have a pretty good magic resistance, like these fellows. And we've given them Starshine Skullcaps to increase their magic resistance a little bit and let them teleport. We're forging like a few amulets of anti-magic. Probably actually should do a little more forging this turn. But, with that combined with anti-magic, we'll get up into like the 24-25 range of magic resistance, and I think we'll actually pass most Blood Vengeance checks. So anyway, we're going to teleport like, 2 of these guys in, and, we already have a couple of them out here, and like, I think we have an Earth Grandmaster or 2, so we can actually drop like quite a few rocks, although we don't really have like the magic resistance gear to cover everyone. So again, there's no way that this isn't going to be a bit painful, I think, short of waiting for Firestorm, right? And basically kind of doing the same thing, except instead of going wide with mages, we just focus all of our magic resistance gear onto the one mage, and then, we just bring a bunch of actually, we probably just summon a bunch of fire elementals. Maybe have some terracotta warriors or something. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Actually, now I'm talking it through, maybe waiting for Firestorm definitely would be much cheaper in terms of gems and mage losses, but this is taking way too much time. So I really hate the idea of like sitting around, like already like retreating now is just brutal. So we will probably risk the losses, but we are not going to lose this entire stack to 2 thugs. No, thank you. So anyway, that covers the Bandar situation. That is definitely where most of our focus is. However, we are forging our last fire booster that we need, and our Pretender is going to stay at home, and he's going to cast Eternal Pyre next turn. So, maybe not quite infinite fire gems, but we'll be getting quite a few fire gems every turn, and we'll continue to do some site searching, and we'll probably actually use like our first income to forge a few more lanterns before we really turn on the alchemy aspect. We might do a couple early alchemies. We have some forts that we need to upgrade. So that's probably the other big thing that's going on for us. This turn in terms of recruitment, almost full mage recruitment, though a few of those are initiates because we are trying to pump out, a lot of troops in a lot of places, right, in expectation of pretty heavy losses, and the fact that we're not even dealing, not that we have a lot of siege strength here, only 41. Okay, we have pretty miserable amount of siege strength. There's actually a decent chance he comes out, certainly if he pokes his head out and sees how little is there, but we are amassing some more stuff, not a ton more stuff, but significantly more stuff. Anyway, we need more siege strength. We're anticipating losses, so we're doing a lot of troop recruitment this turn. And then in terms of what our neighbors are up to, we can see that, right, Eriu is sieging Ashdod's capital. It's not yet cracked, but there's a significant amount of siege strength here now. So I'd say, Ashdod is probably done. There doesn't really seem to be too much movement in the Agartha, Jotunheim war, because we can see that Jotunheim's capital is currently free, and then, we don't, Pangea is mostly disappearing. between Man and possibly Abyssia is also, still getting involved. One new development, well, new for us, we saw that Fascia and Midgard, or Vanheim, are fighting, right? So that is what Fascia is up to, although interestingly, Vanheim also is fighting underwater, I guess. But it's always good to see your elven neighbors, right, busy on the opposite side of, well, I guess we don't actually share a border with them quite yet, but we will. And probably Abyssia would be like our next target. Really, other than Falegra, kind of our only target. We have other options, but Airyu is pretty massive, being piloted by a pretty good player. And we have decent relations, so, that's not an appealing war for a lot of reasons. Yis is not an appealing war because underwater nation. We could potentially attack Fascia from the other side, but they are very coastal and not that big, and it would leave us with, just kind of awkward territory right along the coast. That said, Falegra is actually relatively coastal as well, but just much bigger. So, and not as stringy and coastal, right? Because we see Fascia all the way over here and also all the way over here. But from our scouting before, we know that they're not that deep at any point. It would leave us with a really large border with Asphodel, who also, is another potential target, although our border is relatively narrow. And of course, we talked about how, it's a good player. So, and they're possibly in position 1. I think they're the largest in terms of just, size. They're also, okay, actually, no. Vanheim does have a global, technically, but I think this provides a lot less tangible value, right? It's you can rarely say strictly better than in Dominions, and you certainly can't in this case, but I do think most players would take Mother Oak over Eyes of God in most situations. But regardless, right, those are the only 2 globals, and Asphodel has one of them. And then our other target is Shiniyama, which they're not actually that massive, so that's a possibility. But we do have a non-aggression pact with them. Actually, I think we have a non-aggression pact with more or less everyone except Yis, importantly, and Falegra. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, one other thing that we can add, right, to our army in the Bandar situation, which I do think is going to help us out a bunch, is we're going to bring out a bunch of lizard shamans and just make a ton of bugs. And the bugs aren't going to do well against his sacreds, but if turn 1, right, we do 7 bug castings, that's actually going to be a decent amount of flying bugs. We're going to fly to the back, and if his monkey casters are punching bugs, then they're not slaying souls. So yeah, kind of a slow couple turns. This whole Bandar situation has not been great, and like I said, a bit embarrassing, but I do think it's worth it, right? Now that the thugs have withdrawn, that's really the main thing, right? I would have been happy to exchange the armies, not happy to lose the army for free against his thugs. So we're going to pull back again while we're starving into the Well of Pestilence, but I swear it will all be worth it in the end. So yeah, I think that covers turn 44.